This episode, we are talking about EMD, Earnest Money Deposit, aka Good Faith Deposit. Mo, what does this all mean? Yeah.
Okay, earnest money deposit, or the good faith deposit, or something that I like to tell people I call I'm serious money.
I like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so we're out, we're looking at homes, which means we've already spoken with a lender, which means you already have a pre-approval letter in hand, and we land on one that you really like, so much so that you'd like to submit an offer.
Yeah.
So when I sit down to write that offer,
I want to
with you-
interrupt you right there. Now, you said submit an offer, not submit a contract. Now, what's the difference between an offer and a contract?
So an offer is the terms that you're willing to give or offer to the seller. It becomes a contract or an agreement when all parties have agreed to those terms and signed and initialed in all places necessary on that paperwork.
Man, so on point, because a lot of times an offer, not a lot of times, but sometimes an offer can be adjusted when they go a little bit back and forth with the negotiations, and that initial
Countering.
offer countering,
Right.
that's how we call it, countering, yeah, and then it becomes a ratified contract. So just for you new home buyers out there, the actual term is not contract, it is.
I like the word agreement, because even the word that you used just now, ratified,
Yes.
becomes an interesting term.
Why?
I like to use the word executed.
You know what? I've heard that too. Fully executed.
Fully executed. That means in
That's
all
another term.
places where an initial or signature is needed or a date is needed,
Yeah.
they've all been executed or
That is-
signed, initialed, written.
So the three terms we learned today, apart from EMD and good faith deposit, which we haven't touched on yet, is the offer, contract, and fully executed.
Fully executed.
So
Right.
those are terms that you would need to know as a home buyer, at least in the DMV area.
Right. Right. But to
Yeah.
circle back, when I'm submitting that offer,
Mm-hmm.
we need a copy of the pre-approval letter, which we'll already have in hand, and we also need a check from you, which is called the earnest money deposit. Now, in our market, it's typically for at least 1% of the purchase price, but nothing is set in stone, so it's negotiable.
And
Right?
it's stated on the offer how much the EMD is.
It is. It's written on the offer, which
With a
which is
copy,
what
right?
makes it such a important point in today's market. As I mentioned, we're in this COVID market where buyers are competing against each other at a much higher rate than normal, and inventory is low.
Yeah.
So you're looking for anything that you can do to stand out to the seller
Like an
and the
edge.
agent
Yeah.
that's reviewing your offer. So if your earnest money deposit is for more than 1%, for example, 2%, 3%, 4%,
And
of the
everything's all
purchase
equal
price,
with the next competing offer of 1%. Maybe that could be the difference that makes a
right?
difference.
They could
Yeah.
feel like you are more serious, which is why I call it I'm serious money, because you're willing to put more money into escrow,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll talk about in another cast. But you're willing to put up more money to show your level of seriousness in buying that home than someone else is. And what the seller's looking for is, who's the most serious person? What's the best chance I have that accepting this offer means I'm going to closing in 30 to 45 days?
Yeah.
And so the more serious they take your offer, you have a better chance of actually being the one selected.
And now, what happens to that money? I mean, does it get applied towards, where does it go?
That's a very good question. So that money gets put into an escrow account, which for lack of a better term is a holding account, and it's held there for you and credited towards your balance on the day of closing.
It could be closing costs or down payment. So,
Right.
yeah.
It's credited to what you're going to need to pay.
It's funny because some home buyers, this doesn't happen as often anymore. I hear, where's my money going? Or my agent got my money. Back in the day, I heard that a lot. I'm
Wow.
like, no, your agent did not get your money. It was applied at settlement. Well, now settlement's so done. It's different. I'm an old guy at this. Settlements are done so well today, for the most part, that they really do walk them through everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so settlements is the day that you, as a home buyer, you get to see where your EMD was applied to, your earnest money deposit.
Right.
So that's this episode,
Well,
EMD.
hold on. Wait,
oh,
wait.
oh,
Before
we're
you
not
leave.
done yet. All right.
Right. So the world has changed, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of fraud out there. And this whole concept of transferring money has become a very big deal.
Oh, wire transfers. All right.
So a lot of title companies have switched to where they would like the buyer to wire the earnest money deposit.
Okay.
So sometimes they're wiring that to our account, our brokerage account,
Yes.
or they're wiring it to the title company. Or the other way that they're willing to accept them is in the form of a cashier's check or a certified check. No one's taking personal checks anymore. Nobody in the industry anywhere, not even the person writing it, wants to be in the unfortunate circumstance where anyone else in the transaction wrote a personal check that didn't clear.
Wait a minute. When you put in an offer, don't you typically have a copy of a personal check with the offer?
Well, here's what I do, and this might be where I stand out, where I'm different than other people. I may have a copy of a personal check initially, right? But that might be because we were looking at houses that day and decided to write an offer that evening. If it's the next day or go forward, we always convert that to a cashier's check,
Okay.
right? We never actually try to deposit personal checks anymore. No one wants to wait to see if it's going to clear. And it actually makes a seller more comfortable to see that they know the money's already withdrawn from your account. We're not going to need to go through this. Well, did you deposit it? Well, it's already come out. It's already out from the get-go. The other benefit of that is that when you go under contract or you have an agreement, a fully executed agreement, the lender's going to need a copy of the receipt to see those funds came out of
That is true
your
for documentation.
account.
Yeah, it's a lot easier
Right.
documenting a wire than it is. You have to wait for the either get a bank activity list to show that it came out of the bank, or hopefully by then the new bank statement came out and it shows that the
Right.
EMD.
But the beauty of the cashier's check is you have a receipt showing the day it came out as well.
Exactly. That's it's much cleaner.
Right.
So that concludes today's episode on EMD and good faith deposits.